Welcome here to TalkFCB and welcome back to the channel, guys, as the excitement and the hope continues to build here with Xavi Hernandez as the new Barça coach. And of course, we as Barça fans are hoping that given the time, given the patience, of course, that Xavi could turn the whole club around, because of course we know that we have many different issues both on and off the field that need correcting in order to move in the right direction. But in today's video, what we are going to be doing is zooming in. We're going to be looking through a magnifying glass at 6 specific Barça players who I feel could really benefit from Xavi's arrival. Players there whose performances could improve, whose roles in the team could change, and exactly who we can be keeping a very close eye on over these exciting months to come. It is all coming up, so let's get to it. And the very first player that I do want to start with here, that I really do want to talk about in some detail, is Eric Garcia. Because I think here with the arrival of Xavi, we know there's going to be a lot more emphasis there on the possession of the ball, using the ball and being very efficient in your passing game. And I think especially there, looking at that centre-back position, I feel like Xavi's going to ask a lot more of his centre-backs in possession of the ball. He's going to want them there stepping out of that defensive line. He's going to want them moving into midfield at times, playing those progressive passes. That's going to be so important. And I think when you look at that aspect, Xavi is going to love Eric Garcia. I think he is one of our best defenders with the ball at his feet. I think we saw him play very well recently under Sergi Barjuan, especially away at Dinamo Kiev. And I just think here under Xavi, he's 20 years old, of course. He's still very young. He came into Barca at a difficult time. You know, it's been tough even at Barca for experienced defenders, let alone young players there coming into what has been a very turbulent back line. And I just think right here with Garcia, Xavi can take him under his wing. Of course, there's plenty more that he needs to improve upon as well. But I think this is a coach here in Xavi who's not going to bash young players. He's not going to expose their flaws. He's not going to blame individuals when things go wrong. He's going to put an arm around them. He's going to support young players and try and help them put those faults right. And I feel like right now, Eric Garcia, under Xavi, he's going to fancy his chances of success. And indeed, as we move to our second player, we go from one centre-back to another, and two very contrasting situations, because right here, Samuel Umtiti is somebody who we know can be excellent with the ball at his feet too. He can certainly be a phenomenal ball-playing centre-back, but what Samuel Umtiti can do is not really the question. The question is, given the chance, what will he do? Because obviously, over the past 2 weeks, Samuel Umtiti has had the luxury of being able to be one of the very few first-team players to actually spend the entire international break training under Xavi's stewardship. And from what we're hearing, Umtiti has snatched that opportunity with both hands. He has really taken advantage of that situation while most of the first team were away on international duty. Umtiti has been training hard, and according to reports, as we know, Umtiti is the player who out of everyone has impressed Xavi the most. And you do start to wonder here, with Xavi coming in with a new start, is this the new beginning, the fresh start that Umtiti has been desperately looking for? Given, of course, let's not forget, it was just 1 month ago that he came out in an interview and he said, you know what, I am in the best shape now of my career. I'm ready to go. I am ready to prove myself. All I need is that chance, is that opportunity back in the team. And what I would say right now is, Samuel, get yourself ready, because you feel like in the very near future, that opportunity, it's coming. The next player, though, on my list is a midfielder, as we are going to talk here about Sergio Busquets. And this one I don't think will come as any surprise to you guys, because this is one of the players that Xavi really believes that he can get the best out of. He has spoken in depth about the fact that coming back here, working with players that he used to play alongside. Let's not forget that he spent so much of his career working so closely alongside Busquets, and as a result of that, he knows how to get the best out of them now as their coach. And of course, we have spoken in a lot of detail about the fact that Busquets has been thriving, not necessarily for Barca, but with the Spanish national team. He's been brilliant there whilst working under Luis Enrique there and playing in Lucho's system. And I think with Xavi, in the system that he's going to bring, you would expect Busquets to be a lot more comfortable there. Again, it's going to be much more possession-based, much more control. But most importantly, I think there's going to be a structure there. There's going to be a lot more organisation, especially in midfield. And you would imagine that would certainly help Busquets. Because what you don't want there when it comes to Sergio Busquets is to have something in midfield that's disorganised, that leaves him there having to cover very large gaps, very big spaces, covering a lot of ground. That's never been his style. Even at his absolute best, even in his prime, he didn't want to do that. He was never going to be good at covering ground. You want a midfield there that's very tightly formed around Busquets, that's very organised, and we know he's a player, probably our best player, that under pressure, when the opposition there are going to look to press high, he can evade that. He can get around that press and be that link between defence and midfield. But to be as effective as you want and need him to be in this team, you've got to give him options. You've got to supply him there with players around him who are giving him options on the ball. Because the only time you're ever going to see Sergio Busquets, with the quality that he has, get caught on the ball, get caught in possession, is if you don't have the options around him, if we're not close enough there in midfield. That's going to be the key for Xavi, and he knows where Busquets thrives. And just like before, we go from one midfielder to another, this time talking about Frenkie de Jong. And of course this one may come as a bit of a surprise as to Xavi getting the best there out of de Jong, given the fact that we all expected Ronald Koeman to be the man to get the best out of Frenkie, given of course their Dutch connection. And although indeed in Koeman's first season I think Frenkie seemed to be heading towards his best ever level at Barça, I think this season things have come crashing down at honestly an alarming rate, because I would actually say now, and this is no disrespect to Frenkie, but he would admit this is one of his lowest points of his Barca career, so much so that we're already starting to hear rumours floating around that Barca, maybe come the summer transfer window, would think about cashing in on Frenkie de Jong, about letting him walk out the exit door. And although right now I wouldn't read anything into those rumours, one thing is very clear. De Jong needs guidance, and he needs to be given a role in this team by Xavi. Because I think the problem so far with de Jong at Barca is almost like he can do too much. He's got so many different attributes that we're not actually allocating them in a specific role. Because do you want him to sit deeper? Do you want him to be either next to Busquets? Do you want him to be there instead of Busquets at the base of midfield, getting him on the ball a lot more, looking to control things, being part, of course, of that organised, structured build-up? Or do you want to see him in a different part of the field? Do you want to see him there much higher up the pitch, using de Jong off the ball, with supporting runs into the area, chipping in with goals, as we saw last season? And that, for me, is the problem, because those are two very different roles, and I just feel as though recently de Jong is caught between the two of them. He's not really one or the other, and therefore, he's nothing. You can't be both of those players in one. Out on the field there, we need a set role, a set position for Frenkie de Jong. He needs to know what his job is, what he's supposed to be doing, and Xavi needs to guide this man, because he is top quality. He is an absolutely outstanding footballer that we cannot see and we don't want to see go to waste. Before then, at player number 5, it is Ousmane Dembélé. And I think we all saw this one coming, because this is somebody who, again, needs that arm around him. He needs somebody to come in and get the best out of him, to have a close relationship there with a coach, which he hasn't really had since way back in his time at Dortmund. And I just think right here, if there was ever a chance for Dembélé to seize on that potential, to succeed at Barca, it's going to be now under Xavi. Somebody there that, let's not forget, in Xavi's first press conference at the club, some of his first words there were glowing praise for Dembélé. He made a real effort to single him out. He said, you know what, I want to renew this man, I want him to stay at the club, and I believe that Dembélé could be the best player in the world in his position. Those were the words of Xavi Hernandez. And it wasn't just him, because you then had Dani Alves, another legend of the club, again singling out Dembélé for his quality, for the fact that he has to believe in the quality that he has. And just think about what those words would mean to Dembélé there, hearing key figures of this club, icons of this club, coming out there and talking about how great you can be, the boost that would give you, and surely the hunger and the motivation that would give you to actually go out there and achieve your potential. And of course, to do that, Dembélé has to keep himself fit. The first thing he has to do is get out on the field and play regularly, and above all else, what he has to do is have discipline. And that is something, again, where I feel Xavi already, we are seeing the benefits of having order and having rules. Because Dembélé, of course, became the first player, we all know, to be fined under Xavi. It was harsh, it was only 3 minutes late, but that's the whole point here. We are asking for perfection. We are demanding excellence from each of these players, and in order to succeed, that's the kind of blueprint that you've got to follow. Dembélé there was late, he picked up his fine, but the very next training session, who was the first man to arrive, it was him. Quite clearly, he wants to learn. I think he's excited to begin his journey under Xavi. And what we all want, what Xavi will want, what Dembélé will want, what us fans will want, is to see this exciting young player with so much potential get down to business, the serious business, and deliver on that potential. Before last, but certainly not least, we have to talk about number 6, Memphis Depay, which again, much like with Frenkie de Jong, maybe this would seem like a very strange inclusion, given the fact that it was Ronald Koeman, let's not forget, who brought Memphis to the club. He was the driving force behind that transfer, and as a result, we were all imagining that it would be Koeman who was going to get the best out of him. But after seeing how things have evolved, after how Memphis has progressed during his time at Barça, I am not so sure that was going to be the case. Because of course, you do look back at the very beginning of Memphis' time at Barça, he had an electric start, you'd have to say. He was absolutely stunning from the word go. In pre-season, he was firing on all cylinders during the first games of the season. He was carrying this team. Let's make no mistake about that. Memphis was our sole goal threat. We had injuries in that forward line, and it was all on him to provide that quality. And he was doing it very, very well. But then it all came to quite an abrupt end. I think over the past few months in a Barca shirt, you feel as though he's lost his way a little. His confidence has really been knocked. I think you'll actually say that his most significant moment in a Barca shirt so far, it would have to be that missed penalty against Rayo. The penalty, of course, that effectively got Ronald Koeman sacked. And what you would say now is that I think he needs some genuine coaching. He needs to be coached here into how to be a Barca forward. Because we've got to make it clear, guys, being a forward at Barca, especially down the middle, the number 9, it can be one of the most difficult positions in the world to actually settle into. And he needs coaching to what I don't really think Ronald Koeman would have given him. Because when you look at Memphis Depay, whether he is there playing down the middle, of course we've also seen him drift off to the left-hand side, but that's the word there, in my opinion, that concerns me. Drifts out to the left-hand side. I don't want to see Memphis Depay drifting through games. I don't want to see him there down the middle, letting the game pass him by. I don't want to see him just drifting out to the left and not really getting involved in the game. That's what I feel like has been happening over these past few weeks and months. Again, he looks like a player who's not really understanding the kind of system that he's in. And I think Xavi will certainly take Memphis aside. He will again be a forward that Xavi will look to rely on, especially with the injuries that we have. And he'll basically just say to Memphis, look, you need to have a purpose. If you're down the middle, you need to be making runs. If you're down the middle, you need to be dropping in and getting involved. He will have a specific plan there of how to use Memphis in that role. And it's the same there out on the left. If you're going to be out there, you're hugging the touchline. You're staying wide. You're stretching the pitch. You can't just be out there just drifting around with no purpose. Every single area of the pitch, it's got to be organised. You've got to understand what you are bringing to the team. And once again, Memphis here has gone away during this international break for his country. He has performed brilliantly. 3 goals in 2 games for the Netherlands there. Crucial goals too on the big occasion, helping them get to the World Cup. And goals there that ensured that he finished top of the World Cup qualifying goal scorer charts. Quite clearly, this man has quality. Quite clearly, he can score goals. We know that. And we have to hope that Xavi brings the best out of him and helps him fully adapt to Barcelona. So indeed, guys, those right there are the 6 individual players that I really do want to keep a close eye on. I want to see progress from those players. I want to see progress, of course, from the entire team. And believe me, there's plenty more players that I could have named here. There's a lot more players that you feel like, yeah, Xavi is going to help those. He could bring a new lease of life for so many. But I just think that these right here, they are the core of our team. They can be the difference, either between Barca putting in an average display or putting in a great one. These players can help decide our fate, and we have to hope that together, united as one, that Xavi can inspire these guys, that Xavi can organise these guys, and of course now, we do not have to wait long before we mark the beginning of this exciting journey. Please let me know your thoughts on each of the 6 I have selected in the comments down below. What do you make there of my picks, and who would make your special list there of players who can improve under Xavi? I will, of course, see you very, very soon. But until next time, as always, Visca El Barça.